Once upon a time, in the beautiful city of Paris, there lived a very rich man named Monsieur Pierre. He had a grand mansion with golden gates and beautiful gardens. Monsieur Pierre had everything he could ever want: luxurious cars, fine clothes, and delicious food. However, there was one thing he never did: he never gave to charity. He believed that his wealth was his alone and saw no reason to share it with others. Every day, Monsieur Pierre would walk past the same park on his way to his office. In the park, he would see children playing, elderly people sitting on benches, and sometimes, people who looked like they needed help. But Monsieur Pierre never stopped to help them. He thought to himself, "Why should I give my hard-earned money to others?" One chilly winter evening, as Monsieur Pierre was walking home, he noticed a man sitting on a cold steel bench in the park beside his mansion. The man was shivering in the freezing temperature, wearing only thin, tattered clothes. Monsieur Pierre felt a pang of pity for the man. He called over his servant and said, "Go and tell that man to wait outside the gate of my mansion. I will bring him some food and warm clothes." The servant did as he was told, and the homeless man, grateful for the promise of help, went to wait outside the golden gates of the mansion. Meanwhile, Monsieur Pierre went inside his warm, luxurious home. He intended to gather some food and clothes for the man, but as soon as he stepped inside, he became distracted by his many responsibilities and comforts. He had a lavish dinner to attend, important business calls to make, and soon, he completely forgot about the man waiting outside. The night grew colder, and the homeless man stood by the gate, shivering and hoping for the promised help. Hours passed, and the cold became unbearable. The man, who had survived many harsh nights on the park bench, now felt a glimmer of hope that he would soon be warm and fed. He stopped his usual efforts to keep warm, believing that relief was just moments away. But the help never came. Monsieur Pierre, busy with his own life, went to bed without another thought about the man outside. The next morning, as the sun rose, Monsieur Pierre suddenly remembered his promise. He rushed to the gate, but it was too late. The homeless man lay still on the ground, having succumbed to the freezing temperatures during the night. Monsieur Pierre was devastated. He realized that his neglect had cost a man his life. The man, who had survived countless nights in the cold, had been given false hope and had stopped fighting to stay warm, believing that help was on the way. Monsieur Pierre understood that his empty promise had been more dangerous than doing nothing at all. From that day on, Monsieur Pierre's life changed. He could no longer ignore the suffering around him. He began to actively seek out ways to help those in need. He donated to charities, volunteered at shelters, and made sure to keep his promises. He learned that giving false hope could be more harmful than not helping at all. Monsieur Pierre became known as the kindest man in Paris, not because of his wealth, but because of his genuine efforts to make a difference. He realized that true happiness came not from what he had, but from what he could give. He made it his mission to ensure that no one else would suffer because of his neglect. And so, the rich man of Paris learned a valuable lesson: never give false hope to someone in need. It can be dangerous and even take someone's life. True kindness means following through on promises and making a real effort to help those who need it most.